Welcome to the show. I'm joined by Matt Brown. Morning to you, young Matt.
Morning.
I was thinking this morning, if I was a trader, broker, hedge fund manager, this is the week, right? Bank of England, you've got the non-farm payrolls, you've got Catalonia, you've got loads of macro data.
Yep.
Lots of things to potentially move the markets.
Yeah, I mean, this morning we've seen the markets actually looking at Spain, and we look at the headlines coming up. The pain in Spain, macro to dominate this week. I mean, that's the key thing. I'm looking at Spain. I mean, it's making a lot of the headlines in the newspapers, on the news wires, but it also feels like a bit of a storm in a teacup or a storm in a sangria jug or whatever you want to say, because it hasn't kind of impacted the markets.
Yeah.
It hasn't impacted Europe. And when you look back over the years, when we look at the issues with Greece and potential Greek default and what that actually meant for the whole market, that would have had a bigger impact. Political issues and wrangling going on in Spain, okay, it's not great. It's not great for certainly Spanish banks and businesses operating in the Catalan region, but this is going to take a few months or a month to play out. We're going to see with the elections in the Catalonian region, independence elections or voting for their parliament in December. It will make headlines. Is it actually going to impact the market though? I don't think so, not at this point. But as you rightly said, for hedge fund traders now looking at their diary for the week, Bank of Japan, we've got the Fed, we've got a Fed chair announcement.
Yep, by November the 3rd.
Exactly. Is that Taylor or Powell? Indications seem to be Powell, who's not as hawkish as Taylor, but is still a hawk. Belief is Trump will put him in the chair seat. And also Bank of England, we've got ISM numbers coming out as well from the US. As I say, Bank of England on Thursday and non-farm payrolls on Friday. It's a lot to wet the whistle.
No hurricane factor in theory this month.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go on to the FTSE 100. HSBC reported, but the headline number was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, last of the big four to report in the out of the UK banks. HSBC performing well in comparison to the same quarter last year, but they're making money. And how are they doing this? Well, like HSBC over the years had moved into the States. They had issues there, but they're moving the pivot now back to Asia, not the UK, but Asia. And they seem to be performing very, very well in Asia. Some fantastic numbers, albeit the stock price hasn't moved too much on the back of it. But you've got to look at the likes of Prudential, Standard Chartered, these companies operating in Asia. If they can perform well and they've got the structure to do so, then these companies will perform very well.
Okay, so let's move on to our broker upgrades, downgrades. Got Kingfisher, Goldman Sachs this morning. The pre-rec was neutral. They've gone to a new recommendation buy.
Look,
day trip to France.
Yeah, here's a stock I don't like. I mean, we've talked about it before. Kingfisher owning Castorama, which seems to underperform in France, as you mentioned. Look, the stock's been languishing around the £3 level for the past 5 years. It's not a particular retail stock that I like. They've got structural issues. I feel they should spin off the French business. Goldman's have looked at it and probably said, look, let's move to a buy, and the stock's up about 3%, top of the FTSE leaderboard this morning, but going forward, it's not a stock I like.
Currencies. Let's talk about the Great British Pound against the US dollar, 131.60, and Euro Great British Pound cross 88.39. All eyes on Mr. Carney on Thursday. Market's 90% certain we're going to have a rate hike.
Yeah, the unreliable boyfriend, is he going to actually turn up on time for the date and raise the rates for the first time in 10 years? It feels nailed on. The market would be very disappointed if not. We could see cable below the 130, even 129 handle if he doesn't deliver. Yeah. If he does deliver, look, there might be a small uptick, but I think it's all priced in at this point. We're seeing the euro giving up a little bit against the dollar. The dollar has been strengthening of late. Technical point of view from the euro against the dollar, 114 could be the next point of resistance as a corrective top has been seen. So look out for that.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to the core number, 20 billion.
I picked this out. It's on the front page of the City AM. Now, this is the whole of deficit seen by Chancellor Hammond, and we're looking forward to the budget in about a month's time.
Yeah.
He needs to plug that gap, and does that mean reducing austerity measures, as everyone's asking? Well, he can't do that if we've got this deficit that he wants to clear in the next few years. So it's going to be interesting with the budget as well. And one thing to look out for is the comments and ideas leaked out by the government or think tanks with regards to what Mr. Hammond should do. Should he cut Stamp duty on properties, how will that affect the house builders? There's a lot going on with energy price caps and whatnot, and we're going to see actually a bit of volatility over the coming weeks with regards to those stocks.
Understood. I think we're talking the budget, 22nd November.
Yep,
right, let's wrap up with the economic calendar today. In the US, we've got the personal consumption expenditure, US Dallas Fed manufacturing index, and the Bank of Japan rate decision.
Look out for the personal consumption, actually. That's quite a big figure at 12:30, obviously, with the clocks going back. It's an hour early for the UK. Japan as well, the Bank of Japan rate decision, don't expect anything unchanged now we've had the election. Abe's back in power, or it's remaining in power. But as we said at the top of the show, we're looking at the Fed, and we're looking at the Bank of England on Thursday, and non-farm payrolls on Friday for the key thing for traders this week.
And final thought for me, Beaufort and WH Ireland into AIM Broker top five.
Top five.
Well done, those two. Matt, as always, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.